2, 1.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Meet Kevin Show. Today we got to talk about the Fed and the fetish we have for the Fed as usual. We're going to talk about what happened in Israel. What the heck is going on with a hospital being struck and 100 dead, at least to start with.
Terrible.
Then we're going to, we've got a lot to talk about. Jim Jordan, he's not getting anywhere close to having as few as 4 votes of a loss. We've got to talk real estate. We traveled for real estate today. We got a good banger video coming out for real estate today.
Good. Subscribe.
Yeah. Then we've got to talk a little bit on stocks, SpaceX, Tesla earnings tomorrow. Cathie Wood, what is she doing to Tesla stock, and what's BMW got to do with it? We'll talk about it. So first, the Royal Bank of Australia. I like seeing what the other banks around the world are doing, the central banks. Royal Bank of Australia suggesting we have not seen the full impact of previous rate hikes on consumption yet, but we are starting to see it working. This, by the way, led Bloomberg to run a piece talking about the Fed has succeeded. They cited Brian Moynihan, CEO of Bank of America, suggesting that at the beginning of the year, consumer spending was up 8% between 22 to 23. 8%. A lot of that could be inflation, but the point is it was 8%. Now, when you compare the October and September months, so in other words, now, the last 6 weeks, we're only up 4% year over year. So that either means we picked up spending at the end of last year, which the end of last year wasn't that great for spending, or things are actually starting to bite and slow down over here. So something to pay attention to. It is what we're starting to see with small businesses. Yesterday we talked about Hawker talking about small businesses really taking the full brunt here of rate increases. They're the ones that are going to have to slow down spending because it's certainly not the individual consumer, and it's certainly not the mega caps. It's potentially small businesses who are most under the weight of higher payroll expenses combined with higher interest rate costs for maybe payroll expenses as well, given that some are financing them with bridge loans. And so the actual rate hikes could be most heavily affecting individuals and small businesses. With some of that now first starting to come out to individuals, as in we've been seeing small businesses suffer over the last few months here. Now maybe the start coming to individuals. So we'll see. On top of that, we've got Biden. Biden, I guess a disaster is striking before he even arrives to the disaster zone. This is pretty disgusting what's happening in Israel, the loss of life, but also Palestine, the loss of life on both ends. It's absolutely horrible. Biden was supposed to meet Palestinian leaders in Jordan and then travel to Israel to meet leaders in Israel tomorrow. The Palestinian meeting was canceled, though, following the hospital strike. Mikey, can you show this missile strike video that we have, and then I'll let you get us caught up on it. But let's show this on screen now. Before we actually hit play on this, what I want you to think about is, first of all, well, let's be very clear. We can't verify this video. This is a video from a Telegram. The timing appears correct, which very interesting is the metadata carried over, so I was actually able to see the time of the actual video and aligns. So this is a video that, according to the Israeli forces, is supposed to show a rogue rocket shot by the Islamic Jihad because they had convoys in a specific position around this area, and that maybe they were the who shot this rocket. But when we see this, I'll just put it this way: it doesn't look like a rocket. This looks like a cruise missile or some kind of precision guided missile. It looks pretty intense. Let's go ahead and play it here.
Jeez, it's terrible.
Let's play that one more time. So what's wild is in that instant, 500 people at least lost their lives. Children, everyone.
Doctors.
Nurses. That's true. We'll talk about that. There it is. The audio cut out on that last one. Listening to that whistle. Let's replay it. I want to hear that whistle. That's fast.
Yeah.
That's fast. I don't know and we could pause it there. I don't know so much about rockets, but I know that missiles can travel that fast.
And
it's like 2,000 miles an hour.
From the Iron Dome, they're more like they leave a trail, like they're longer, and they don't make a straight line.
The rockets.
Yeah, it didn't seem like
this
that.
looked like it came from very high up and straight down almost. I mean, at like an 80-degree angle down, specifically target. This did not seem rogue at all.
And it seems terrible. Like, it shouldn't be strategic, but if you're trying to hurt somebody's infrastructure that's not necessarily militant, damaging their support, whether it's being doctors, nurses, it's pretty cruel. It's awful on all degrees, no matter whose side you're on. When that first got reported, it was kind of both sides pointing fingers at each other, saying it was a rogue rocket or it's an attack. I still don't know what the latest is. Mikey, do you want to catch us up a little bit with what's going on?
I can't tell you what the latest is because it's one of those things that we'll either learn after the fact if we ever learn at all. There's a lot of propaganda in war, so it's really, really hard to say.
Well, we probably will never know who actually fired whatever that missile was. It kind of looks like an American paid-for rocket, based on what I just saw there. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe the Islamic Jihad got their hands on this. But anyway, what's some of the data here that we've got?
Yeah, so obviously this was the hospital in the Gaza Strip. It's one of the main ones. There was a lot of not only injured Palestinians there, but just people seeking refuge were in the hospital as well. So the debate right now is where did the rocket come from? Hamas is saying this was an Israeli strike, which let's kind of do an if-then. Like, if Hamas is right and this is an Israeli strike, why would Israel do it? Mm-hmm. It could be just it's a strategic attack. Hospitals, there's going to be a lot of people there. They maximize civilian casualties. So my hunch is, well, either there's a military presence or a base at that hospital.
Sure. They've done that before.
Absolutely.
Hamas has been known. This is, in fairness, we always want to look at all sides. Hamas has been known to store weapons in mosques. So that why? Weapons depots get struck by the military, which means by the Israelis, right? The Israelis then attack the mosque. What does it make it look like? Religious warfare. Yeah. That's the point. It's like, look, they're trying to attack God. Well, you had all your weapons in there, right? The same thing has been done in the past. Hamas has done the same thing in the past, where they will have either weapons caches or they will use these buildings like hospitals as strategic planning buildings, operation centers, basically for what they're doing, because as we've heard many times on everywhere, basically they're using humans as meat shields.
Yep.
But then at what point, if the idea is, people are human shields, at what point do you just say that about every strike you want to make? Oh, well, Hamas was there, so basically you have the license to kill anyone you want. Think about this. Israel, under that, guys, has the license to kill anybody they want in Gaza, if that's the argument that's being made. You can kill anyone you want because Hamas was there. We'll never be able to prove that. That's incinerating right here. I mean, of course, there'll be some people, that you can conduct DNA analysis on or whatever. There'll be some evidence, but then again, does it justify the instant killing of 500 people? At what point is that? Does maybe killing 10 Hamas individuals justify killing 500 civilians? You have a photo here of the boy. So these, I want to make it clear, these individuals are alive. This is a boy. I cropped this picture. This is a boy. You can see he's got like some kind of bandage on his wrist. But this is a boy actually looking at his mother that just died. This is terrible. Look at another picture here. This is a little girl. Maybe she's 18 months old or something like that. She's covered in blood. She's fine. She's alive, right? Everything's okay. But the point is, she was there, right? And lucky to survive. But these are the people who are at the receiving end of this. So, is one terrorist, on one hand, I want to hear what you guys think about this, but it's like, we're going to do a hostage rescue mission, right? So, how many thousands of people is it okay to kill to save, per hostage, right? So, the question is, if you have one terrorist in a hospital, does it justify killing 500 civilians to kill one terrorist? Right? And that's sort of where we evaluate. Well, we don't know. We don't know the answers. Maybe this truly was a mistake, then it should have never happened. That did not look like a mistake, that missile, if that is actually the correct video, right? We don't know that either. So then the flip side argument is, well, if it was a mistake, then that's not even a discussion you have. But still, the incursion of Israel into the Gaza Strip is retaliatory, an escalation, and it is designed to rescue hostages. But again, how many thousands die to rescue those hostages? So at what point does that get balanced out? I don't know the answer to that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, even just you scroll Twitter for 30 seconds and you can see both
I
sides.
don't.
Clearly divided. That it was Hamas airstrike, that there's a base, there was a misfired rocket, or that it was an Israeli attack. It's terrible, and I think the discussion is kind of, it's a moral dilemma. If you kill the chief terrorist, but he's in the hospital 500, was it worth it? And I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, no, it's not worth it. And I mean, the basic humanitarian effort is to say, no, killing those people is not worth it. And I don't agree with, if that was a strategic attack, there's better ways to do that than 500 casualties. You do special operations mission, put snipers in buildings, go behind enemy lines, whatever you need to do to preserve the civilian lives, the innocent lives, maximize the potential for saving civilian lives. You should not have to resort to that.
I mean, I think that's what I 100% completely agree with is what can you do to minimize civilian casualties? That should be priority number one. And what you look at with this conflict, what's unique is that, yes, I think we're down in Israel somewhere around 260 Israeli soldiers already. Hamas is down probably a couple thousand by now, if not even up to 3,000 right now in terms of soldiers. But more civilian lives have been lost on both sides. And so the question is, at like, whose war is this? Is this a war by powerful individuals at the expense of civilians, not people who are enlisted in the military and are willing to fight? It breaks my heart seeing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I'm thinking, like, is it worth killing 499 innocent people for one terrorist?
Right. And we don't even know if that's a scenario. Maybe it was 250 terrorists versus 250.
I was about to say, flip it around. Like, is it worth killing 499 terrorists if it means one innocent life?
Right.
Like, where do you draw that line?
Yeah, it's somewhere in between there. I do see, I want to hear what you guys think about this, but, this first one, Daniel Dickinson in the comments here, thank you for being a member for 12 months of the channel here, says it's called the fog of war. One of the problems with this is a fog of war is a way of suggesting that, well, we're uncertain, right? Uncertainty is bred in war. And that leads a lot of folks to say, well, it's collateral damage. Those children are not collateral damage. Those children are victims, and their families, they're victims on both sides. Just like the people on the Israeli side, they're victims. To call people's lives collateral damage is, in my opinion, just an excuse for sloppiness.
It's dehumanizing.
It's very disgusting.
And you don't. In fog of war is not a hospital. Fog of war is that was the wrong color Corolla.
Right.
That could be fog of war.
The CIA.
Fog of war is not, there's a hospital with refugees in there, and there might be a base underneath there. That is not the fog of war.
Assuming that was a targeted strike, which again, if that video is what is correct, that looks pretty dang targeted to me. Now the question is who launched it. We may never know, right?
And to be fair, so IDF is saying this is obviously a misfire that came from Palestinian militants, right? That's their whole argument.
It doesn't look like a misfire.
I agree, it doesn't look like a misfire. But where you could say it's fog of war is, according to IDF, so again, take it with a grain of salt, but according to IDF, there was a barrage of rockets that was fired from nearby that location right before this happened. So you can make an argument for fog of war. It's not even thinking there's a hospital. They're going, rockets are coming from there, fire back. And that could be why the rockets were fired there, because Hamas is hiding behind the hospital. Fog of war. I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying that's what happened. But there's a lot.
It is a good point, but then you also wonder, okay, well, were you fighting, like, were you launching rockets from the hospital, or were you launching rockets from the block over? That doesn't miss by that much. Normally.
Yeah, no, that's like
odd to me.
That's like,
I think Lockheed Martin gives away enough precision weapons to not do that. I don't.
building.
That just seems very strange to me. It just happens to be a hospital too, with doctors and nurses and critical infrastructure. And guess where the food and water supplies go when the food and water gets cut? The gas, food, and water that's left goes to the hospital first. That becomes the area where people go to get help.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it's like, if you're Israel and you don't want the United States to provide aid to both sides, whether you're trying to, like, specifically trying to aid hospitals, you just gave the United States one place to go to save to. So if you're Israel and it is some sort of sick strategic point, it's just terrible, and I don't agree with it. Minimize the life of civilian loss. War is war, but let the refugees go.
It's possible, exactly. So, what about the Biden getting canceled?
Yeah.
So Biden's canceled now for Palestine side, at least. He'll obviously be in the region in Israel. What do we think about Israel?
So this is, well, for the Biden getting canceled, I don't know if the meeting is completely called off or if it's just Palestine that's going to abstain from the meeting. Like, I don't know if he's still going to be going to Jordan, if he's still going to be meeting with leaders over there, and Egypt's president's going to be there too. So I don't know if that's still happening, but it's the Palestinian president, and this is the president of the Palestinian, like the Palestine Authority, which is under PLO. So that's like West Bank leadership, not Gaza leadership. But still, in protest, they decided that they won't be seeing Biden tomorrow, or I guess maybe today, local time for them, Wednesday. So yeah, they won't be meeting with Biden after all.
So he'll be in Israel then, which will again make the United States involvement look even more one-sided, unfortunately.
Actually, we've been talking about this all week, and I also heard it from Ben Shapiro. Actually brought it up by sending Biden to the United States
to Israel.
Yep. Sorry, Israel's not going to send in a ground incursion before Biden gets there. So it could be the United States delaying how long before Israel sends people in. Like, is there any more diplomacy that we can resolve before you guys invade? Because we've talked about it. It's going to be a slaughter fest when there's a ground invasion. Is the United States delaying that invasion by a couple of days? Could it lead a couple of weeks? Is there diplomacy to be had? So I thought that was an interesting take.
That is very interesting. The goal, obviously, I think on all sides is what can you do to prevent in the future as well as minimize casualties? And that's the tough balance right now. Is it even possible to conduct diplomacy there, or if you negotiate a deal, is this just going to happen again? What do you think? Do you see this happening again? Is this ever going to end?
Nope.
I talked about this this weekend with one of our interns who's extremely intelligent. I said, why can't Israel just draw a line at their border and say, all right, anybody that's affiliated with Hamas inside our border will be publicly executed, to show a demonstration that we will not tolerate Hamas inside
Palestine
of Israel.
saying this, suggests.
No, Israel saying, like, drawing a line at their border saying, if there's any sort of Hamas still inside Israel, you'll be executed, and there will be zero tolerance. But then the counterpoint to that is, guess what they're going to still keep doing? They're still going to keep firing. They're still going to keep poking the bear with the stick until something is aggravated again to the point. Like, at what point do you just have to end this insurrection of Hamas or this militant group of Hamas?
With religious extremism like this too, you have to realize a lot of these people, they're not afraid to die, right? It's jihad. If you die in a holy war, then I mean you're gonna have 72 virgins. So that is the least of their worries of them getting publicly executed. Whereas, they're likely to suicide bomb instead. They're going to die anyway, but they're going to take down a big crowd with them. I mean, religious extremism and logic just goes out the window here.
Yeah, no kidding. I just texted you a message here. Would you mind taking a peek at this? This looks like it is actually one of the members in the chat here sent a video it says, this is how Hamas kills its own people in Gaza. And then, of course, I hate this line because I like to show things in the disclaimer. We don't know. Every side can be manipulated. But there's this one person saying, hey, in this description of this video we're about to show, it says, stop spreading fake news. Nobody knows what actually is the real news. Nobody knows. We try our best to speculate and understand the world around us, by getting as many primary sources as we can get our hands on. But that video, do you want me to try airdropping it to you?
Yeah, that would be better.
I feel like it'd be worse if we showed a source and didn't try to give both sides of the explanation.
Right.
We try to give, okay, what if Israel was the one that did it? What if it was a Hamas accidental attack? I think it's okay to talk about things that we cannot confirm if you can talk about both sides. So that's what we try our best to do. Obviously, we're not perfect, but
it's interesting because there's always an argument on each side, and this is a very interesting clip. So what we're going to see, it's airdropping to you now, Mikey. What we're going to see this missile that launches up, and then it dog legs about essentially 90, maybe 120 degrees in the completely opposite direction. And that allegedly is the missile that strikes the hospital. Now, I have my own commentary on how this could potentially function, but the comment here is that this is how Hamas kills its own people. People are spreading fake news. Don't believe their lies. This is Hamas, right? That's this post, which, let's be clear, governments have been known to sponsor people to spread very one-sided opinions as tools, basically, for their own agenda. Makes sense. Israel, if it came out that Israel did this, you have to remember, the money would stop. and the war would be over tomorrow. The incentive to keep fighting goes away if you have to pay for it yourself. Of course, the argument from Israel's point of view will always be there's no way it's Israel. And I'm not saying that it is Israel. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But I do think considering both sides is very interesting. So let's go ahead and play that video. Let's show that here. See, look at that U-turn. Do we have audio on that? I don't know if we actually, that's just an Instagram post here. I don't know if this person's, let's scroll back a little bit so we don't show things that are going to get us like kicked off here. Let me know when you have that ready there. We'll throw that back up on screen. It's an interesting dog leg that it does here. Okay, yeah, it's just Instagram loading funny on the computer. It's because it's a Mac. Yeah, look at that dog leg. Can we rewind a little bit on that?
I can't rewind. I just have to like refresh every time.
Can you pull that bar over or no? It doesn't.
No, this is
just the Instagram live viewer. What trash.
There we go.
That's how they get more views on see, look at that. So now what's interesting is you see it get launched up and the argument is that it's a misfire.
People are saying that's an old video now. So we see there's this
So you
constant
never
fog
said
of
this-
information.
yeah,
Talk
that's
about fog of war, the fog of information.
Well, yeah, like here's somebody that's like, oh, here's the new video or whatever, and they're like, oh no, it's an old video. Who knows? The point is, you can't really trust any of this stuff. Correct. You know, we don't know. But what I thought was very interesting about even that. So whether that's an old video or what, it doesn't really matter. That's beside the point. What does matter is that you could program a precision strike missile to strike this direction. Let's say you're gonna go in this direction, but you launch it in this direction. So what's it going to do? It goes up, and then it turns once it gets to altitude where it's actually going to direct itself. And guys, the first part of the deployment is usually it's launch. You launch the missile up, you get it airborne. Then once it has lift and it's flying, like taking off a plane, once you're up and you're out of the flight path, now you can turn and go where you're going. It wouldn't surprise me for somebody who's purposefully trying to make this look like, oh, it's definitely Hamas. Oh, it's Hamas. Now it's the Islamic Jihad. It's this, etc., or whatever. You could easily manipulate this. You got the cameras rolling on it too.
Is there a scenario where, obviously a sick and twisted scenario where Hamas it wasn't a misfire, Hamas purposely did that to try to point the finger at Israel and be like,
oh, no, of course.
They did it. They
100%.
did it.
No. It absolutely could be Hamas. And then the first thing Hamas does is say, Israel did it. Look how evil Israel is. Of course. That's the whole point of the war. But the whole bottom line out of all of it to me is that has to stop. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do from 500 people not dying anymore? Well, first of all, who's dying in Gaza if Israel's not striking it? If you leave. If Israel was gone, is that hospital still getting attacked? If Israel was doing, just to be extreme, if Israel conducted 0 airstrikes and there was no incursion going to Israel, could there be any claim? I mean, I suppose theoretically there could be, but would there be a claim that that was Israel?
It makes it a lot more difficult.
It makes it really hard to allege that that was Israel. If Israel's like, look, you know, this is a horrible attack on our country, on our homeland. We're, like I've said before, we're building a bigger wall. We're improving the Iron Dome. We are conducting surgical operations, spec ops, whatever. Well, then it's like, yeah, that couldn't have been Israel. But how many bombs did Israel launch and how many missiles did they fire in just an average evening over the last week? 200 to 500. And you tell me, oh, that one that hit 500 people was definitely not Israel. We can't say that. Now, people get mad when they say, there's even like a 0.5% chance that Israel would do such a thing. It's entirely possible.
And so
can't rule it out.
Anything is possible.
So you can't rule it out.
It's war. It's
But
emotional. It's religious extremism. Anything's possible.
on both sides, and it's all evil because innocent people die, and people do get mad, especially and rightfully so. If you're a Muslim and you just lost your family in Gaza, there's nothing somebody could say that will make you happy with Israelis in the future. It would be very hard. Same thing for Israelis. If I was an Israeli mom or dad and I just lost somebody, like a child got killed or was a hostage in Palestine, I'd lose my shit.
Yeah.
I'd be over there myself in Gaza. And I'd be manic. I'd go crazy.
The worst part about this is, regardless of who fired it, emotions just got flared up to level 10.
Oh, yeah.
Like, on both sides. Whether whoever knows who did it, I mean, even Ben Shapiro's like, guys, let's just be absolutely clear. Like, this is a Hamas attack. Like, he is...
You can't guarantee that.
You can't guarantee anything. Right. But you have these people, their emotions are just so amped, like, and rightfully so. Like you said, if anybody that you knew was involved in this or even around this or even if your name was affiliated with it, you would be highly amped up.
Yep.
So the worst part about war is that, like we've seen this from the Israeli side, that emotions are just so high right now.
And again, rightfully so. Like everywhere,
Yes.
the entire world has high emotions right now over this because this is scary. You know, like imagine this kind of stuff happen closer to home to other people. It's a disaster,
Yeah.
and that's why it's like you got to nip this in the bud like ASAP because this needs to end.
Yeah.
There's nothing good that comes out of this. If the longer this goes on, I wouldn't be surprised. Every single week we will have another a set of 500 innocent people evaporate like that. And I don't say evaporate either. I mean, half of those people are probably dying suffering. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Where are the doctors now?
Well, yeah.
That's
now
the
you've
problem.
taken out doctors and nurses, and you made it harder for even the other survivors.
Terrible.
It's just a disaster. Okay, so that's Israel and the strike. We'll see if we could get any other comments here. I know some of you are sending over some links and such, so we'll pull those up as we can. What else do we have on Israel and Palestine? What's the latest? So we know Biden's going there. For our purposes, he'll be there tomorrow, given that it's already kind of tomorrow-ish for Israel. So what else? Because we've still got humanitarian aid problems. The flow of aid is really being tied up. We don't know if we have Egypt holding this up until they can get money or what's going on, but we do know protests are breaking out around the world, especially over this hospital release and attack, and we just don't know.
Is it helpful for Biden to go over there right now?
Oh, yeah.
When emotions are so high?
Oh, absolutely. He should have been there last week.
You think?
100%.
I agree.
100%.
From a national security standpoint and from an emotional standpoint, would you really want somebody that's has nothing to do with necessarily your religion or your country to come in and try to tell you what's right?
Biden
or
has
wrong?
everything to do with it. He's paying for one side. Yeah, they need to be there. They need to know what they're paying for and the atrocities that are happening on both sides. They should be there as a representative of peace for the world. You want to be a diplomat, go be a diplomat. Don't be a little bitch. You know?
Yeah.
From a national security point, you're right. Like,
No,
it's
that's
risky,
from a Biden
but
point of view.
Yeah,
That's not national
Well, sorry,
security.
you're
National
right.
security.
Biden
I don't know if
security.
something.
Because we could have Kamala.
National
yeah.
security. It's national security.
From a national security standpoint, there is no greater risk for the president of the United States to be at a location right now than that. Yeah. But I guess the reward of the potential diplomacy.
Diplomacy, yeah.
With these I figured out with these headphones on, pronouncing words and hearing myself is so difficult. The diplomacy of the situation hopefully has a higher reward than the risk of a national security issue. If the problem is if there's any inkling of a national security issue, everything will be flattened. I think if something were to happen to the president, regardless of who is in office, whether that office was attacked, I worry that everything would just be flattened.
Yeah, I mean, there's also that, I see what you mean. There's that risk of like, okay, well, if you have an attack against the president, does that like escalate the war very rapidly then, right? Yeah, there's that is true. That's fair. You're right. That is a risk. That's definitely a risk. Is it a reason to say we're just going to keep sending money and not go there? No.
That's World War III then.
Well,
No, not that. I'm saying an attack on the United States would bring the United States into a world war.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Because-
if somebody did that to one of our hospitals, hell yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is
We're on the
funny
same page
because
there.
it's like, on one hand, then it's like, you've got the Israelis who are going to look at this and go, well, duh, that's why we're attacking back. It's retaliation. Of course that's going to happen. I'm not saying it's right, but it absolutely, the United States would retaliate. They would do the same thing Israel's doing right now. The same thing. Be Operation Iraq. We've been through this many, many times.
Yeah.
Like, the United States absolutely would. They
Did you
would be
ever
doing the same
find those
thing.
weapons of mass destruction?
Which weapon?
ones
that
that we
was all
sent them?
based on having given plans, and therefore they should have known. They should have had the capabilities of doing these or creating weapons of mass destruction. Who knows? I mean, then we can go into a whole nother rabbit hole.
Cool.
There's actually an IDF. Video here shared by it says rocket footage. A rocket aimed at Israel misfired and exploded at 1859, the same moment a hospital was hit in Gaza. Okay, let's look at the video. This is interesting. Now, this is shared by the IDF on Twitter. So it is their official account. I'll get you the exact link here, Mikey. It's interesting. It shows you another potential perspective, which I'm all for seeing and hearing perspectives. Do you have it, or do you want me to send it?
If you can DM it to him on Twitter.
X, yeah.
DM on X. Ew, now I have to log in. I'm just kidding. I'm logged in. Okay. Mikey. There we go. Mikey Manoff. Go follow him at Mikey Manoff. Also, remember, HouseHack's fundraising deadline is in about 2 weeks, actually, I think, from today. No, 2 weeks from tomorrow because of the 31st. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, we've got the HouseHack fundraising deadline for 2023. That's crazy, man. We closed 2022, closed 23. There are a lot of exciting, I'm seeing the emails. There are a lot of exciting emails coming in. If you have questions, email us at ir@househack.com. So did you get that?
Yeah, I got it. Looks like I'm a little more formal on Twitter. I'm Michael Manoff on Twitter.
Hey, careful. Michael's in the house today.
So this is captioned, raw footage, a rocket aimed at Israel misfired and exploded at 18:59, the same moment a hospital was hit in Gaza. And let's watch the video.
So there's a rocket, this little street, whatever. Some kind of oopsie doopsie happens up here.
What? Yep. So it was basically like to replay some of
there's the impact. Yep.
I'm so confused.
Ooh, it's tough to say. So it goes through a couple stages here. You have the rocket going up, and then it looks like it basically enters like a stage 2, which is like first it launches into the air, and then it catapults itself from the air. But that's where it supposedly misfires.
Well, isn't that just like the booster shell detonating?
I mean, that's not normal. What you saw right there is not normal. That and then it could just fall out of basically part of it. Let's say it broke up in midair, right? And then the warhead, so to speak. Come falling down. The problem is, and again, I don't know if the video we showed at the beginning is this same. Like if these two videos align, we don't know that.
They
whether
seem closer,
right? Whether this video is accurate or that video is accurate or neither of them are accurate, which is also possible. We don't know. But let's assume for a second that the Israeli one here is correct. And let's assume that the other one is correct. So let's take a moment and suggest that maybe both are accurate, that they're both different angles of the same rocket. Would a misfired rocket sound the way the other one did? That sounded accelerated. You know what I mean? Yeah. Is there audio in this one, the IDF one? Well, let's listen and see if there's audio.
I'm still playing it right now.
There's no audio on that. Is it on mute? Your Twitter's not on mute, is it?
No.
Are you sure?
So.
Oh, are you sure it's not on mute?
Right here.
You're right. There we go.
I'm listening to it right here, and there's no audio. Yeah, no, this is some kind of CCTV. So interesting. No audio. I don't know if that actually means. Well, I mean, but then again, this is like what's weird is that they're somewhat implying this is like a CCTV cam, but it's clearly operated by somebody. Well, maybe not. I mean, sometimes you have these like the motion detecting cameras where they follow and zoom in on AI or motion, but. I don't know. This looks human operated. It's too perfect. The camera AI is just not that good
for
these
it
days.
To perfectly demolish a hospital.
And that's what it hits on a rocket misfire. I don't know, man. That it's sus. Yeah. And again, I don't really like at this point. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't really matter. We could get off of that, Christian. There, it doesn't really matter who shot it because we'll never know the truth. But what we know is that innocent people are dying. So how do you stop innocent people from dying? Well, like we said earlier, if Israel was not striking at all or moving in on the Gaza Strip at all, the loss of life in the Gaza Strip would be a fraction. In addition to now humanitarian aid comes in. Okay, the loss of life would dramatically plummet. If the goal was minimizing death, period, if that was the goal, stop attacking, and stop and start providing aid, right? If that's the goal. But that's not the goal. The goal is
aid.
Huh?
That discourages aid. Like if you start learning that that's a target
of
your enemy, like why would we, like we're sending 2,000 servicemen over to help provide aid. Like as a civilian of the United States, like that's not very reassuring for me to want to send my troops over there when I just saw a hospital get destroyed when that's supposed to what they're go help. Like they're supposed to go help that hospital.
Well, yeah, probably more on like the demilitarized. Well, I mean, none of it's demilitarized, but the buffer zones that Israel controls would probably be more where our service. I don't think any of our service members are going to be that deep
into Gaza.
Hopefully into the Gaza Strip. No. But I mean, you're not wrong that it does discourage aid. It's just sad. It's just disgusting. It all needs to end but the problem is, how do you root out Hamas then? Well, I think like the easiest thing, and hopefully it's being done, but you've got to end the funding. And that's why there's so much aggression against Iran. But then the question is, how much do you push against Iran? Because if you push too much, do they start enriching even more nuclear weapons?
Right, that's where you get into a global catastrophe.
It's just a disaster. Like there's no easy answer. And anybody who says we just need to go in there and murder 10,000 civilians to kill 10,000 Hamas soldiers, it's not necessarily the right answer either.
Right. That'll stop the attacks, but that's genocide. That is like the worst case scenario.
Or does every Palestinian child who lost their parents now grow up to know that their parents were killed by Israelis?
And it's a cycle.
Of course, it's a cycle. That's what I was actually going to bring up.
You just breed the next Hamas 2.0.
It's what Israel's doing right now, and this is actually one of the interns' research today. This was Sebastian's research. He goes, okay, so let's say they even end up going through and destroying 90% of Hamas, 95% of Hamas. You might still create net positive terrorists in the region because everyone's growing up watching that happen.
Yep. Or not just watching it, but losing their family members.
Yeah, experiencing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The creation of more terror is actually highly underestimated in this conflict right now.
Maybe you guys had more familiarity with this, like you were older in the situation than I was.
Oh my God, he's calling us old, Mikey.
With Operation Iraqi Freedom, when the United States troops were there, didn't that same thing happen where we were fighting terrorists in Iraq, and it was the same cycle where the children ended up growing up and fighting back against the United States later on?
Well, we also created a power vacuum over there, so that's part of why.
Yeah, it's very difficult. There's so much religious animosity in humanity. I mean, you could go back thousands of years and cite sources. It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, Protestants and Catholics went to war. They're not even that different. Okay, now I know some Protestant and Catholics are going to be really pissed at me saying that, okay? It's like some like their statues, some don't, okay? Like, what is it? Iconoclasm, I think, is more Catholic. Whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know. The point is, like, there's no lack of religious warfare. The problem is, are we causing more of it by encouraging this blank check for defense, which is now how many bombs can we throw onto an area and how many people can we kill?
Was that a defensive missile?
There's no such thing as a defensive missile. There's no defensive missile.
So we just said defensive funding. Was that?
That's the point. It's all bullshit.
I know. That's what's frustrating. Like, did the United States just pay for that?
Yes, they did, dude. Yes, absolutely. Whether it was stolen or what. Yes, it's all our stuff. And that's why people invest in Lockheed Martin, because they're like, I'm not in there, but somehow the terrorists are getting all our shit.
It feels like also the U.S. has very little choice other than to support Israel and go, please stop at Israel. Because if you end up pissing off Israel now, we're losing a key ally over there. We're losing a nuclear power in the Middle East. Yep. And then where they're going to turn to someone else like, hey, China, hey, what's out with some of the weaponry over here?
The U.S. does not want to lose Israel. Let's be clear about that. Losing Israel is actually bad because the United States is safer by having instability in the Middle East. Yeah. Ironically, it's terrible. It's true. Mm-hmm. Now, unless people stopped hating each other, but that's unlikely. I mean, just look at the comment section sometimes. Hate is everywhere. Unfortunately, some hate is a comment on YouTube and some hate is people actually killing each other. So, what's next?
Well, we can go in so Biden, when he was leaving to go overseas, a few sources mentioned that he's going to be asking for billions of dollars in aid, not just for Israel, but Ukraine and possibly Taiwan. And Republicans are going to sneak in a little border protection over there, too. So,
by the way, these crises are the absolute greatest way to get all of your pet projects done. Like, that's how you do it. So what you do is there's an emergency crisis.
We got to get this bill out this week.
We got to get the bill out ASAP. And then everybody, okay, the lobbyists, they love this. This is where they make their money, okay? The lobbyists are standing in the lobby, and they're like, Gates, here, we'll get you a park with your name on it. Here, slide this in the bill. And then they go over here, hey, slide this in the bill. And then all of a sudden, you get all of this, and people are like, I can't read all this shit, and they just put it together, and they put it on a wheelbarrow, push it around it because it's 3,000 pages long or whatever. Nobody has time to read it all. Everybody just reads the sections with their name on it. They're like, I get a park with my name on it. Oh, what's that? A giant loophole for the rich? I get a park with my name.
Give it to the Speaker of the House.
Which one? Yeah. So this is the time when, really we waste money. This is where the spending comes from. This is where the loopholes come from. These are the opportunities for every corporation that spends money on lobbying to get their stuff done. Everybody hitches their wagon to emergency bills. And guess what? Congress knows that because that's also what the Founding Fathers predicted, which is so crazy. Founding Fathers wanted gridlock, except for in times of emergencies. Here's your time of emergency. Wow, you get unanimity, or near. You're still always going to be naysayers, and you'll get your bills passed. Nobody's going to read it all, just like the original CARES Act. And all of a sudden, years later, you're like, oh, wow, there was a loophole for that in there. I wonder why this tax bill for real estate companies was in the CARES Act. Oh, well, that's how it happens.
So as far as how much money we're talking about, Senator Ben Cardin, who's a Democratic chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, he said that no specific number, but he would not be surprised if it was as large as $100 billion.
Oh, yeah, easy. I mean, this is, it's wild. I mean, that's like 20% of Israel's GDP.
Oh, Israel specifically asked for another $10 billion. This is per a congressional source telling Reuters. This was reported on Reuters. They asked for another $10 billion.
How much is in this for Ukraine?
None of this is made public yet. And even the $100 billion is just an estimate.
Yeah, because Zelensky is going to visit Washington again.
Oh, this is the time to do it.
I think I saw one report that Zelensky wanted another $10 billion.
Yeah.
But Zelensky's just like, throw my name in there, please.
Yeah, and he'll get it.
Oh, yeah.
And
this is the time to get it.
This is all on top of the $3.8 billion that we send annually to Israel, and that's part of a 10-year deal that we started in 2016, and it's still going on. We have 3 more years there.
Yeah. Stephen Hake here says, guys, we'll just print more. He's right. That's exactly what we will do.
America.
Is this going to screw inflation going to Q4, Q1 then?
No, it'll literally do nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Why?
Well, I mean, because this money isn't being spent here. This is these interest payments we're not going to actually realize and start making for probably a decade. Our interest, the debt we're printing now, no, we won't see it for a very long time. It certainly won't amortize at the higher rates for a long time. This money's going over to be wasted basically on bombs and killing people, not on people getting stimulus checks so they can go buy goods and services in America.
Gotcha.
So it's not an inflationary impetus. It's not a debt pressure today. It will be in 10 years, right? But no. It doesn't matter.
Does it put pressure on the USD at all?
Dude, there's no better currency. That's the problem.
100%.
Like, they all suck. And people are going to be like, what about Bitcoin? There is no better money printer-backed currency.
Oh.
Okay, because it's all money printing. There's no better currency than the US dollar. That's it. This is the safest place to be. And America knows that. That's what makes America powerful, is they have the money printer, and their dollar's still the strongest. Imagine if you could print money all frickin' day long and everybody still wants your money. That's America.
Nice. Have that eagle fly through here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next. Let's go. Let's knock out some of these other things. What else?
All right. So I guess while we're talking about U.S.
Jim
politics, Jim Jordan.
All right. Let's hear it.
Yeah, he's not getting anywhere. 20 Republicans opposed him. His rivals are opposing him. You mentioned he only has like 4 attempts to get in. Otherwise,
Oh, 4 votes that he could lose.
Oh, 4 votes.
Yeah. So basically, it's so tight. The Democrats aren't going to vote for him because the Democrats love this. They're like, that's the Democrats right now. It's like, if anything, this just makes people think the Republican Party is even less unified. Guess who the great unifier is? Donald Trump. We'll have to touch on Donald Trump. I was reading a little bit more about his gag order. My God. it's just Donnie T being Donnie T. In fact, there was a piece on his funding. It was hilarious. Let's see here.
Oh, great. He's grabbing his newspaper.
Old man with the
Such a
newspaper
boomer.
again.
Old man.
man.
Make fun of him. I know.
Jack is the only kid at school who knows what a newspaper is. I hope you know that.
You're probably right. Listen to this. Trump's campaign has as much cash as all of his rivals combined.
Oh my gosh. Donnie T.
And that's a lot. I mean, DeSantis, the Vivek Pence. These are some big names.
They're so quiet right now in the grand scheme of the voices. I haven't heard their names in a long time.
Mr. Trump's campaign committee reported receiving $24.5 million in the third quarter. Bro, that's $8 million a month. Hey, we're outraising him with HouseHack. But anyway, the vast majority of that cash was transferred from a joint fundraising committee through which he primarily raises money. That's fine. And then, of course, 10% of that we know he's basically allocating towards his legal fees. Okay, DeSantis and Scott have been big spenders. DeSantis, the Florida governor, appeared to have a decent quarter, raising $15 million, dude. DeSantis raised 15 and Trump
Florida,
did 24? That just tells you nobody else is getting money. This is between Trump and DeSantis.
Yeah.
That's wild. His campaign. Oh yeah, here's Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, who entered the third quarter And this is not money raised in the third quarter. Remember, Trump was raised $24 million in the quarter. Trump campaign has raised $45 million. Wait, hold on a sec. Trump received $24.5 million in the third quarter, July, August, September. That was the vast majority. Okay, now this is interesting. The Trump campaign is now suggesting they've already raised another 45 for the next quarter.
Wow.
I mean, that would be crazy if this is
number.
correct. Maybe I don't know if I'm misreading this here.
Is Trump estimating the value based on, his opinions, just like the property?
Probably. When the actual report comes out, wait a minute, I thought you raised more. It's coming next quarter.
It'll be there.
It's coming. It's
Right
coming.
next to the classified
The
documents.
checks are
right
huge. They're coming.
Bigly.
But I mean, he is the unifier for, like him or not, he is the unifier for the Republican Party. He would be able to clean this crap up. Like if he was able to negotiate.
What would Trump do different than Biden right now?
Literally everything. But I don't
Would Trump
know if they
go
do
over,
the
would
same.
Trump go over there right now? Would he keep funding this? Like,
Yeah.
what would Trump be doing?
He would
Yeah.
take a stronger stance that's pro-Israel, I would think.
100%.
Yeah.
Way stronger. And I don't know if that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
But the question is, what should a president do right now? That's another question. Is like, do you encourage, like, hey, look, we're going to build you thought this Iron Dome was great. Let's show you Iron Dome 2.0. That's really what you need. If you're going to put a Jewish country in the middle of Arab and Muslim individuals, you kind of need a strong Iron Dome. It's probably, like you mentioned, even if we solve Hamas now, we'll have Hamas 2.0 and it'll just keep happening forever. So really what you need to do is just prop up the defenses over there. I don't know that leveling the Gaza Strip is the right answer. Because what are you going to do next? Are you going to just go level the West Bank as well? And then what? We go to the Golan Heights? And then what? Are we going to start encroaching on Lebanon? And it's just a disaster.
Oh no, a missile went to Iran.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, unfortunately, that's a little far away, but
I don't know, dude.
you never know these days. So it is really, yeah. Somebody here says, but maybe Biden will step down at the State of the Union. Like if Biden steps down, you'll get a Newsom.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, you'll get Newsom. He's lying in the wait for this.
Yeah.
By the way, and a lot of people actually got mad at me for this during the campaign, which was really funny. But I have experienced these speed cameras many times. You go to Europe, they have speed cameras. It was somewhere in here in the LA Times, and they have speed cameras. And I thought, you know what? Here it is. If you really wanted to ticket people, what I hate is cops pulling people over on the highway because it causes traffic jam. Everybody slows down. It's dangerous for the officers. Many officers get struck while on the side of the road. It causes car accidents. It's very unsafe. Traffic stops in general are extremely unsafe. And usually traffic stops aren't designed to actually give somebody a ticket. They're designed to find other crimes, whether that's drugs, weapons, whatever. So I've always actually been a fan of speed cameras. I know a lot of people are going to hate on me for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll probably fight you about it, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's like I get it. Like people are like, I want to drive faster. See, but I like the Autobahn for that reason. Like, don't get me wrong. I like driving fast when it's safe. When the Autobahn, it's like, look, when it's safe, here you go. You could drive as fast as you want. Fantastic. In these areas, we ask you respect the speed limit. And then if you don't, you automatically get a ticket. It's not even bad. Because I've gotten tickets there too. It's like, here's your 30 euro fine for going 26 kilometers over, which is like, I don't know, 10 miles an hour or whatever. And I'm like, okay, here's your 30 euros. Here, that's 15 2-euro coins. You can put them all in the envelope. I'm just kidding. Send them a check. But anyway, they can't cash.
There's parts of Europe where the speeding ticket is proportional to how much money you have. I don't know if it's income or net worth.
See, smart, but then they have to calculate that. If you're a foreign tourist or whatever, that's a little harder. But that's smart because then it's actually paying. For most people, $30. I mean, we could do that if we had a speeding ticket. Problem here in California, it's like $500, and it's insane. But anyway, this is interesting because I actually ran. This was one of the things when I was running for governor.
I remember.
I said speed cameras because we need to get the cops off the highways and actually working in our communities to stop this, the horrible police tensions we had at the time. I was one of the first people to say, no, it's not defund the police. It's fund the police better and more funding for the police, right? So that was a big thing we ran on, was funding the police. But another thing was we had a speed camera note in there. And this is very interesting. Front page of the LA Times today, Newsom okays use of speed cameras. Governor signs a bill creating pilot program for devices in LA, San Francisco, Long Beach, and other cities.
Wow.
I'm not opposed to this.
We'll see how it goes.
You've
Why are you so opposed to it?
Well, There's a couple things about it. For number one, like this has been tried in some states, and in some states I think they actually do still use it. But if, as far as I remember, when they tried it over here on the west side, it was contested because I think right now the police has to first physically see you speeding, and then they have to back it up with like a radar or something.
This is just like this is playing the loophole game, the law. You're like reading the law and playing the game of like, well, this isn't how it should be done. Well, you know.
I'd be okay with it if we had an Audubon style system.
Yeah, okay. But we don't, and we won't.
We don't. So the way I see it right now is like have a different branch of police specifically for traffic police. They can't do drugs. They can't do. Yeah, and Kevin made a face. You couldn't see that on camera, but
yeah, no, there's no way. It will never happen. That will never happen because the cops, they love that. That's the way to get it, man. That's what we always did because I was a police explorer. You know, I've been on the road for like 2,000 hours, 3,000 hours, something like that. Anyway, you know, you see a guy pulling an illegal Yui in an old beat up 90s car. It's like there's no racial profiling, but there's vehicle profiling.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of vehicle profiling. There's nothing against the law. You know, so about vehicle profiling, you got some bumper stickers they don't like, they can pull you over. But anyway, that was how you got all your other crimes. That's how you got your felons, you know. But speed cameras, I mean, it's just dangerous pulling people over.
it is.
That's where the people get shot. Like, why pull people over at all? If their only crime is speeding, send them a ticket in the mail. What's wrong with that? Add it to their DMV charge. Why are you anti that? Because you want to speed.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, not necessarily.
Come hop on the PP. You could ride my PP any day.
It's the majority of just
How
the
fast
cameras,
do you go
man.
when you go drive up to NorCal? Are you at 85?
I do not wish to incriminate myself on camera.
Right.
I'd go the speed limit always, maybe 5 under.
Right. So
85,
raise.
that was a good guess.
Yeah. So raise the speed limit. He's saying that when he's going 95. Okay. So raise this.
I'm not going 95. But.
raise the speed limit a little bit and go cameras. You know, if you're at 65, which the whole point of 65 is nobody's going 65. The point of 65 is if we set it at 65, people won't go over 80.
Sure. Up
So,
and down
okay.
the 5, it says 70, but yeah.
Okay, great. So set it at 80, but then at 85, you have a camera. So now you can raise the flow potentially.
I wonder what the average speed limit is on the Autobahn. Like what people actually go.
Depends on time of day, how much traffic
But
there
like, I
is.
wonder what the average is. Like if they put 85, is that slower? Like maybe people have this mentality if they see a speed limit sign, they have to go that fast. Like, oh, I'm happy, I'm comfortable at 70. Oh, but it's 85. I should go faster. Versus on the Autobahn, it's like you can go as fast as you want.
The difference on the Autobahn is you actually have a respect for the lane system, and people actually stay on the right side if you're slower. You could be
that so much. I can go on a rant just for an hour about people hogging the left lane.
Oh, yeah. So that is a true pisser. Like if they do these cameras, they should also set them up if you're riding the left lane.
Yeah, and I think I'd be more okay with these cameras on the freeway. I think it's when it gets to like the city streets. I don't want to become a London 2.0 with more cameras than there are people.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's where my fear is.
I guess that's true. That's true. There's a slippery slope. At what point does it end? And maybe that's why it was unpopular, especially in California. You get this sort of like police state censorship.
Yeah, interstate is a good middle ground.
All right, next.
Okay, we kind of met in the middle there. That's fine.
I still love you, Mikey.
I love you too, man. That offer for your PP, I'll hop on soon.
All right, right after this.
So you mentioned you want to talk about BOA a little bit, Bank of America. So let's go over that. Stock market today closing. S&P basically even. NASDAQ down 25 basis points. Dow is up 0.04. We had some earnings today, J&J, which beat on EPS and revenue, even though they ended a little bit down.
I went through their earnings call while I was making coffee. No mention of price increases. In fact, a lot of bitching about Biden and the Inflation Reduction Act. They're like, these price cuts are killing innovation. We can't raise prices on certain drugs. They were pissed and heated in that earnings call. But there was no talk at all about price increases. Some of the analysts are like, hey, when are you guys going to, increase prices so we could see some higher margins? And they're like, you want to talk price? We got a bone to pick with Joe Biden.
Another Biden rate. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that kind of explains why they closed a little bit down today. Bank of America, though, beat on EPS and revenue. They closed 2.33% up. And this is from their analysis. This is Xavier's notes, another one of the interns. But he said, no slowdown in consumer spending. The consumer is remaining resilient despite all these headlines that like, oh, the average middle class is running out of money from their COVID paychecks. But he's saying that there's no slowdown in consumer spending from the observation on Bank of America's analytics. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, and that's I mean, we're still spending. I think the way to clarify it is we're still spending positive compared to last year. There's like the growth isn't as high as what it was at the beginning of the year, where they were suggesting 8%, now down to 4%. which is a slowdown on growth, but you still have growth. So a little bit of clarification on that. But yes, the consumer is still net positive spending, which when you line that with the retail sales numbers we saw, oh yeah, this we got some hot retail sales numbers. Yeah, just this morning. Actually yesterday. Was it yesterday or this morning? I can't remember. It all blends together. I feel like, honestly, we had 3 days in one today because we, you know, not only had the morning live stream, but then we flew for real estate and you know, studied our real estate markets and did real estate videos. And then we had a podcast before this. And
It's a cool podcast coming out, by the way. If you guys have not yet subscribed,
it's beer
very
time.
Cool podcast.
It's beer time. Okay, all right. Look, we said we were going to talk about Tesla.
All right. Just to close this up today.
That's where we're going to learn about consumer spending going down.
Lockheed beat on EPS and revenue. Goldman Sachs missed EPS, beat revenue. They're down 1.6%. I think the reason Goldman Sachs is down is their CEO, David Solomon, gave up his DJing gig.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. D-Soul, no longer a DJ. So to all the D-Soul fans out there, like he's just back to the grind of being a CEO.
Side gigs.
Side gigs.
Tough economy.
Okay. But tomorrow we have Tesla, Procter & Gamble, Netflix, Morgan Stanley. So you'll give your thoughts tomorrow morning on your show for Tesla.
Netflix, and we could do a very brief preview, but Netflix is always so interesting because they're usually at the beginning of earnings season.
Yeah.
And they set the stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if Netflix is bad, sell. Like, they're always the warning. You know, Tesla tomorrow we're expecting 74 cents, which is less than the 78 cents we got in Q2, 1 penny more than the 73 cents we got in Q1. This is all going to be about cost control. Obviously, we know we've had more price cuts in Q3. The street is still expecting 18% gross profit margin. That's only down from 18.2% in the last quarter, and then in Q1 we were down to 19.3%. I don't know, man. I think there's a chance we are going to get like a gross profit margin that misses to the downside pretty nicely. I don't think they're going to get the cost down as quickly as they think. It all lags. It takes time. This is going to go down to, it could get down to like, you know, high 16, low 17%. And there could be some panic. Although I really do believe that most of the people investing in Tesla right now are people who are like, we're going through a hard time. Rates are so high. We have so many catalysts coming. The Cybertruck, the robo-taxis, the bot, the Optimus.
Yeah.
Optimus. Right? There's so many good catalysts ahead. We know it's a great company. Apple went through its shit too. Mm-hmm. You know, this is what it is. It's volatility. It's a volatile Nike swoosh. I'm not optimistic, but I'm also not in the place where like, I need to hedge this position. I don't think we're revisiting. I don't think we will ever revisit the numbers that we had at the end of 2022 for Tesla.
Yeah,
I think insane. Like if you didn't get margin called then, I think you're good.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about it a little bit this afternoon. Tesla investors are expecting the worst, and if good news happens, then great. But we're so used to bad earnings calls that it's just like, all right, is it down 10 or 15% this time?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's going to be like, it's going to be flat at earnings, and then Elon's going to get in the call. It's just gonna...
And then it's like, somebody's like, it's green after earnings. It's like,
don't say that.
Yeah. No, it only expect right after earnings. It's normal.
Go ahead.
NVIDIA had a horrible day today.
Yeah.
Down 4.68%. Did you hear about that? Like,
do you know who had a great day with NVIDIA, though? Nancy Pelosi's back at it again.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So obviously they're down today with the whole can't sell all these chips to China.
No, they didn't. This should be illegal, man.
July 27th got rid of all 25,000 NVIDIA shares.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very good time to sell too.
Wow. July, right as like the AI hype and everything.
I think June they had the rally, and then July they got rid of it. Maybe it was even the beginning of July that rally came in.
Wow.
But yeah, that was from the Pelosi tracker on X.com.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All right, let's do some auto news. You want to do Lucid first?
Yeah, I mean, so Lucid reported...
What's that?
I don't ever see them. I actually did see one the other day. So Lucid reported their deliveries. They didn't give their numbers, like the finances, just the deliveries.
Sure, yeah.
They delivered 1,457 vehicles in Q3, which Sawyer Merritt was very quick to point out that Tesla will deliver 3 times as many vehicles today as Lucid will do in one quarter. So
not a bad comparison. I mean, we know Sawyer's King Tesla bull.
Yep, we love Sawyer.
He's the best.
I don't know that he's ever said anything negative about Tesla, because if it's negative, it's not him saying it; it's quoting somebody else.
He softens the blow.
Yeah.
They were up 3.8% since Q2, so very nominal. 4.2%.
The deliveries, right. Okay.
Deliveries.
Wait, they were up 3% in deliveries
from Q2.
Okay, well that's interesting because that's like 12%. But
well,
that's
no, watch
nominal,
this.
though.
Watch this.
That is
and then
nominal.
4% year over year. But watch this. Deliveries up, however, production down. Down 29% from Q2.
Why?
Demand. Because the cheapest car is like $79,000. You think somebody's going to finance a car at 8% for $79,000?
Well, yeah, I mean, some people will, and they're producing so few. There should be buyers for this. So
they're not selling anything. They have to mark these cars down so much.
So they're stopping demand. They should be in the ramping phase.
No, they should be making a brand new car. That's not. They just released a brand new car that's $125,000. I believe, the Lucid Sapphire. They're increasing the average price per car rather than decreasing the average price per car.
Yeah, because they're making relatively few of them. What's their lowest price now? Like at 80, 90?
79.
It's almost the price of a Plaid, one of Tesla's most expensive cars.
Their cheapest car is like Tesla's most expensive Model S.
Wait, what's their domain? It's not lucid.com?
It's down right now. I just did the same thing.
I can't get to lucid. Or that's not their website. Maybe it's like Lucid Motors or something.
Probably something like that, yeah.
Google Lucid. Oh, it's lucidmotors.com.
Do they not own the domain Lucid?
Yeah, who owns Lucid?
They have to sell their own domain.
It should redirect to Tesla, though.
Okay,
that's hilarious. They have a whole available cars portal.
The inventory is up too. Like, I don't have the specific number for their inventory.
Available now. Yeah, it looks like about 83,000 or so is about the lowest that you could basically get right away.
That's like you get a banging Model S for 83,000.
Yeah. Wow.
Or a Model Y. Like, why would you not like? There's some people that just hate Tesla enough to buy a Lucid, but the problem that Lucid has is they don't support Tesla's charging, so they have to use Electrify America. They don't have any software.
It's trash.
Yeah, it's a beautiful design, great interior, like luxurious feel, but you're gonna have to spend 3 times the amount of time charging. You have way fewer stops.
Who just adopted?
That's right. BMW adopted the North American charging standard, which is the Tesla standard. So even BMW is part of the game now.
That's a big one.
Everyone but Lucid, basically, and Volkswagen. There's only a couple left.
What's up with this Cathie Wood stuff? Like, what's going on with Cathie? Why is her face in our thumbnail today? I like Cathie. I think she's a nice lady.
You do. I
had dinner with. She was fantastic. She's just like
you never talk about that dinner. Like, give me like a brief while he's pulling this up. How was dinner with Cathie Wood?
It's inspiring. You know, it's you meet somebody like that, and they're just the way they look on video. They act the same way. Everything. It's like, you know what? That's who I thought you were, and you're just like that. Like it didn't feel deceiving. Like she's so like. Yeah, like I'm like, how do you feel about the haters? There's so many haters because they ain't whatever, right? And she's like, oh, I never take any time to listen to the haters. Why would I distract from innovation? And I'm like, oh, that is so Cathie.
That was the answer I wanted.
Talk to me more, baby.
So here's a video, if we could throw this on the screen. This is Cathie Wood being asked about Elon Musk.
1 minute and 47 seconds.
Yeah.
Ask you about Tesla and Elon. Tesla's still your largest holding. It's up 100% this year. You got a real winner there. Has Elon Musk been able to refocus on Tesla now that he has somebody else running X? Do you have any insight into that or feeling about that?
I think that Elon is a troubleshooter, and the troubles at X are not over yet.
Yeah.
Of course. We're seeing that in just recent days when they've said, the Israeli conflict and all of the drama around it has caused another hit to advertising revenues. So I think these difficult times, though, spur Elon's creativity. He is a troubleshooter and a brilliant technologist. So we think that each time he does face turmoil like this, that the intensity of his brain cells takes him to new answers. And, we've seen this at Tesla every step along the way. Tesla, now that EVs are scaling and he's got that machine in space, in place, so to speak, we have now the autonomous side. And I think he's really focused on that. So, yes, I think it has his attention. He knows and believes.
I think that basically she kind of repeats everything she just said. But here's the interesting thing. Kind of a bear here, but he goes, this is the problem. Cathie regularly speaks so positively on Tesla, yet she's been selling nonstop for years now. It's ethically wrong. And here it compares it to 3 of her funds. We have ARK-K, ARK-W, and ARK-Q, and the number of Tesla shares over time. This goes from February of 21 up to August of this year.
Wait. He says it's ethically wrong?
So
I don't think it's ethically wrong. I don't think it's ethically wrong to diversify. You could like a stock and have less of it. Maybe she finds other better. Sorry to keep cutting you up, but like maybe she thinks there are better deals relative, right? Tesla ran 100%. Maybe there's still these small caps she's investing in that are in her opinion so much more undervalued. Is what's going to 10x first? A potential small cap or Tesla? Well, probably the small cap because the 10x is going to be a while for Tesla. Now, what's more likely to go bankrupt? That 10x or Tesla? Well, the 10x one.
High risk, high reward.
Of course.
Yeah, two thoughts. At first, when I saw this graph, your knee-jerk reaction is like, Cathie, how could you? You speak so highly of Tesla, yet you're dumping it. Well, two things. Outflows. Like her ARK has seen massive outflows, and you have to...
Is that true? I want to look at that. I'm very interested. Okay.
ARK has seen massive outflows, and comparatively to when this goes back to 2021, of course it's seen outflows. Okay. The other thing that kind of brings comfort to my heart is that it's still her number one position. So it's not like she's... The thesis that this guy is trying to prove here is that she's propping Tesla up, meanwhile she's selling out of it with her ETF. That's what he's trying to say. However, I think the two things that it's still the number one holding in her ETF, and she's experiencing outflows. Go to her defense.
Yeah. Like both things can be true at the same time. You could sell, like you could lessen your exposure to a stock and still love the stock.
Yeah.
But that doesn't get clicks on Twitter.
Right. No.
On Twitter, you did expose. You're not wrong, actually. She's been suffering mostly daily outflows since at least the end of August. There have been I would say maybe 10% of the time she's actually positive on RK. Not in stock performance, but in flows.
Does your flow chart look like this one? Is it similar?
No. This is like a day to day. Does
it go back to 21?
I can make it go back to 21.
Because if it looks like this, that'll be really interesting.
No. It's
sorry to throw.
I mean, maybe I don't know. I guess. Well, let me go out to 20. This is interesting. I mean, you'll see it's a compression, but
because if it's similar, then it's like that's the answer.
Also, when was Musk going on his selling spree for Tesla? What period of time was that?
Oh, that would have been basically all of 22.
All of 22. So she sold before that happened.
Yeah.
So Cathie Wood, mastermind, genius, investor.
I guess I'll give you the two screenshots right now, and I'll explain them. This is you can't really align these two. I would highly caution against making any comparisons between the two. But let's look at the flows, the inflows and outflows anyway. Yeah, that's fine. Show the very very tight compressed one that's like 5 years or whatever. So the one that goes from like no heartbeat to like lots of heartbeat very quickly. Well, we'll show that one first.
All right, we got it.
And okay, so these are inflows and outflows. Okay, in the middle line, you have a 0. Anything above is inflows. Anything below is out. So you could see the what would you call this in like waveform? The wave. It's not the wavelength. It's the
amplitude?
Frequency. The amplitude is that the measure of the top to the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. You've got amplitude compression here, right? So in other words, the inflows and outflows are getting smaller, and you see that's true going all the way to the right. Now, if you go to the next picture. You'll see on the right side, starting about right above where my little box is there, you're getting more days under the 0 line. Could you draw a line on that 0 line just like with drawing the little box? All the way.
It's not letting me.
Oh, it doesn't let you. Okay, move your mouse all the way to the right. Yeah, right there. Yeah. That's where the 0 is. So people can get exactly just like that. That's perfect. You can see that probably 90% of that is under the 0. So you're definitely seeing outflows here. She could be financing outflows with Tesla shares. That could be what it is. That and I mean we'd have to look at their actual trades, which they're public. We could look at them, but that would be a guess of mine. So that's Cathie. Okay, great.
That's
Next.
Cathie. All right. So well, I guess last one before we move on from the auto stuff is Bill Ford says that the United Auto Workers strikes have been helping manufacturers like Tesla and Toyota.
Yes.
The higher labor costs could limit spending on developing new vehicles and investing in factories. So he's basically like, hey guys, if you want like more salaries, like it's going to screw us and then everyone's going to end up losing their jobs. But in Ford's defense, I've got two things to say. Number one, they use more United Auto Workers than any other company. And that's because, well, for one, they use 57,000. And to compare those numbers, Stellantis is using only 43K and GM 46K. Mostly because these companies have outsourced a lot of this labor down to Mexico. And another thing I will give Ford is Ford and Tesla are the only two American manufacturers who've never gone bankrupt, who've never filed for bankruptcy. But so basically, it's the strike that started on September 15th. And just last week, 8,700 union members walked out of their largest and most profitable plant in Louisville.
You know, that's soon to only be Tesla.
It's possible.
No, it's going to happen. Ford's going to go bankrupt.
Why do you think that?
I don't see them surviving this. It cannot make a profitable EV, and with the amount of pension debt and obligations they have to existing retirees, they're going to go bankrupt.
They still got a 5% dividend. Compress that dividend a little bit. Oof.
Well, if they drop the dividend, everybody would dump the stock because it's no longer a dividend yielding blue chip.
True.
You know, but no, this is going to go blue chip to bankrupt. I would be surprised if they could actually turn around.
The thing is, we know that Tesla's not valuable for the car; it's for the tech behind the car. And until people can get behind the tech,
they won't. That'll take a very
just
long
building
time.
a battery in an EV is not new.
No, but I do think that Tesla has innovated a manufacturing process that's
Oh yeah,
profitable.
no, the copy and paste of the car is the best. But the technology is what kind of why you would probably buy one over a Ford.
Or the stock over the... Oh, yeah. Okay, why would you make the choice to buy a Tesla now? Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. It could be range. It could be safety. It could be the autopilot, whatever.
Was that just an ad for Tesla?
Well, you know, it was certainly more than what Elon's doing. Oh!
Let's move on before he goes on another rant.
Oh, no, stop him.
We got two more things for you, Kevin. I'm going to do a little SpaceX having a war with AT&T, and then, Mikey, you can close it off with some real estate stuff.
They could war with AT&T all they want.
So this is per a SpaceX filing. AT&T and RWA, which is the Rural Wireless Association, they have coordinated, per SpaceX, a desperate 11th hour campaign to try to prevent SpaceX from testing that new direct-to-cell technology that we were talking about. So they're saying that they're using baseless claims while offering no substantive reasons. And I looked at the RWA's About Us, and basically it's supposed to help all these little... You have to have less than 100,000 subscribers for you to be part of this RWA thing. And it's helping like the smaller rural kind of telecoms. Funny enough, SpaceX is actually saying even though Dish is not part of this because they have over 7 million subscribers, this is the mouthpiece for Dish, so it's really Dish that's kind of dishing out the shade here. So on my screen here, if we get this up, this is the initial filing that SpaceX had for the request for special temporary authority, and this is for 60 days starting December of this year.
This is what AT&T is sort of protesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And so SpaceX, basically this special temporary authority, STA, these are usually when you're testing out new technologies and trying something, so you can bypass a few different rules here. And this basically permits SpaceX to connect to cellular phones with their T-Mobile partnership, and can test also with National Science Foundation, although I couldn't quite find out what they're doing with the National Science Foundation. But basically the way this works is there's...
Well, that's how they're getting the exemption. They donate to one government funded organization to... I'm just kidding. I'm being very jaded. I'm sorry.
You are jaded.
You want your permit? You know, National Foundation of Sciences or whatever, they need a little $50 million check over here for their project too. Oh, we'll write them in. Oh, I think this permit just got a lot easier to approve.
You're jaded, but it kind of comes from experience too. So, I mean, but basically this, the SpaceX's argument is it's in the extremely unlikely event that something happens, there's interference with other frequencies, we're going to take care of it right away.
Yeah.
And the commission should approve this because it's best for public interest. And the commission actually agreed with this and ended up approving it.
Good. I have faith now.
So there's contesting now. And so this is, again, from SpaceX, and this is them throwing shade at AT&T and Dish contesting this. So they're saying, like, look, we're on the cusp of bringing connectivity to millions of people, and this is a supplemental coverage from space is what it's being called. So it's, again, just eliminating dead spots in networks that already exist.
Oh, wait. This is the SpaceX T-Mobile counter to AT&T's counter.
Yes.
Okay. It's the response to the counter. Got it. Okay.
So, this eliminates dead spots, better for emergency preparedness, empowers American industries. Yep. So given these benefits, only a few parties out of everyone involved raise concerns with these. Each of these opponents rely on either misinterpretation of the commission rules or fundamentally flawed technical quote-unquote studies. Unfortunately, few parties hoping to build competing systems also resort to the growingly common tactic of trying to have the commission force SpaceX to make public unrelated proprietary information for unnecessary but competitively harmful reasons.
Yeah.
So over here, they're making like it's Dish that's behind this, even though, like I mentioned before, Dish can't officially be a member because they have of the RWA except over 100,000 subscribers. But he's saying an application cannot seek to waive the table of frequency allocations. So table of frequency, I have this over here. It's how the RF spectrum is distributed. So you have radio frequency, you have a bunch of different spectrums, and obviously people can't overlap on each other. So the FCC is the body that manages this for the United States.
And why is that? Like just a brief technical, like, so if too many people are on one band or frequency, it's clogged or it's
you get interception, like you're going to end up hearing
interference or whatever.
The interference, you're going to be hearing either both simultaneously or, like, when you're driving your car, you're listening to the radio and you cross the county line and all of a sudden it gets all fuzzy and you start hearing the next one, it's going to be like a back and forth of that.
That's
and if
annoying.
it's some vital system, obviously that's a huge issue. So basically they're saying, look, the commission's waived these in the past. It's even proposed to eliminate the rule altogether. There's no reason why you shouldn't waive it for us like you were initially planning on doing. So it's funny that AT&T and Dish are the two kind of fighting here. And AT&T claims that SpaceX requested too few waivers for them to actually allow this. Dish turns around and says SpaceX asked for way too many waivers. So SpaceX is like, it seems SpaceX may have gotten it just right. They mentioned no risk of interference to terrestrial systems, no risk for space-to-space, I can't say that right now, space-to-space interference either, and that Dish should have checked with its sister company EchoStar that sought and obtained the same sort of authorization that SpaceX seeks in its application. Yeah. So just wanted to share that drama right there because we've been talking about the direct-to-cell.
And it sounds like China, or not China, it sounds like the commission is actually so far
reasonable
SpaceX
and pro SpaceX. Yeah,
I noticed that. Like, people are so, the government's coming for Elon. Like, they're actually, in my opinion, it seems like a lot of the organizations have been relatively accommodative.
Just don't run away from the SEC.
Well, that's just being an idiot.
stupid.
That's just being stupid. My God, you're a publicly traded company. You want access to the capital markets, follow their damn rules.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. You don't want, take it private. You tried that. He tried. Yeah, I mean, no wonder, because what, you want to do more, build more glass houses? I'm sorry, man. I'm not an Elon apologist.
Don't like the laws? Change the laws. That's fine. People do it all the time, but you got to play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Real estate.
Quickly, Max just pointed this out in the chat. Thank you, Max. China literally just came out with their GDP release. China's GDP, as much as you can believe the numbers, actually just came out supposedly with a beat. Q3 annualized rate of GDP growth was surveyed to be 4.5. They got 4.9.
China can't be left out of this race.
Yep, they're not getting left behind. Don't leave China behind. No China left behind. Anyway, so for what that's worth, China's GDP is beating. I like, people are jaded about the American numbers. You want to be jaded about numbers? It's Chinese numbers.
We know you are, Kevin.
Oh my God, I don't believe them at all.
No,
at all.
They make up their numbers and they're still bad half the time.
Yeah, it's like getting, like, if you give somebody the answers to the test, like, copy most of them, just not all of them, so like they don't think you're cheating.
Yikes. Okay.
We can probably talk for real estate tomorrow. Nothing too intense. Just rates are high. Not fun to buy real estate.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
We'll have a video release. So we're showing how we analyze individual markets, and we're gonna have some videos.
This
on
was
that.
the tweet I sent you. The guy saying that it's now more profitable to be in treasuries than to buy real estate.
Well, no shit.
Not a secret.
I mean, that's like people put these charts up to make them seem scary. It's like, what do you expect? Like, rates are, and we could go deeper tomorrow, but rates are, frankly, they were artificially low for too long. Now they're artificially too high. Rates are too high right now because the rates are this high to fight inflation that's already on the path much lower.
It's maybe, I don't know if this is normal or not, but it's easier to make money doing nothing than making money doing something.
For now.
Yes. At this current
change.
time, it is easier to make money doing nothing, by i.e. putting money in market accounts, than going out in real estate, buying a wedge deal and fixing it up yourself. Is that going to break something eventually?
I mean, it's interesting because it does make you wonder. Usually when you have periods of time where you pay people to do nothing, you create malinvestment, right?
Yeah.
And so are you potentially creating a lack of investment into real estate because money markets are high? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does that potentially create an opportunity in real estate? Absolutely, because you have so much less competition, which means the people who do buy are probably able to get substantially better deals.
Yeah.
But I think it'll stay that way for a couple of years.
I thought it was just an interesting thought.
It is interesting.
I made you something real quick. You want to see my screen?
Oh, no. What is this? Oh, no.
It's not too damn high.
Anyway.
Well, what do we have going on November 1st, Kevin?
The expiration of the HouseHack fundraise for 2023. Make sure to go to househack.com, learn about our real estate startup, read the offering circular. I think that's all we got. Thank you so much for watching. I put my little disclaimer away. This video is not financial advice. It's not personalized financial advice. Don't make any investment based on the stuff we talk about here. While I'm a licensed financial advisor, real estate broker, becoming a stockbroker, and all that good stuff, I cannot give you the information that you need to evaluate whether an investment is right for you. So you got to figure all that out yourself. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you the next time.
Subscribe.
Glad we had this talk.
What a day.